I'm here today to do quite a different vlog for you, and I'll get onto that in a second. But before I do, I just want to mention something that I keep forgetting to mention, which is we've been nominated for the Craft Awards, the British Craft Awards, and we've been nominated in the Best Sewing Retailer and Best Sewing Designer of the Year. And the deadline for voting for us is on the 20th of December next week. So please, if you think we should win, please can you vote for us? I'm going to put the details in the comments below, or you can also find them on the Sew Over It blog. I've remembered to do it. The last week possible, and I've remembered to do it. Anyway, you can see that I have gone festive today. I've got our Christmas tree finally up. Poppy is desperately trying to eat things off the table, even though they're lipsticks and pens. But yeah, we've got our Christmas tree up and we've got fairy lights as well. So yeah, it's starting to feel very festive in here. Okay, Pops, you go on the sofa. So, you may have told from the title that I have something to announce. And this blog is not going to be sewing related, it's about me. So it's going to be a little bit different and it's going to be quite personal. And you'll find it in a second. So yeah, it is a little bit of a different one, and just bear with me as I talk you through it, because I don't know actually how this is going to go, but I'm just going to come out there and say it. I'm pregnant. And I'm due next year. I'm going to show you my little bump. Here it is. I made this dress specially, guys, for today, for this video. Poppy, stop it. Poppy's going to make this video awkward. So yeah, this is the Agnes top from Tilly and the Buttons, and I have made it into a maternity dress by putting a few little pleats in here and just made it down straight as a pencil skirt. But yeah, this is in some new fabric that we've got in stock, and I will pop it in the comments below. So I'm not only telling you about the fact that I'm pregnant, but I also want to talk about the journey of our journey to get here. As like many people, it hasn't been easy, and because I have an audience of women, I feel that I should be talking about this because it's something that maybe isn't talked about enough, and there's many reasons why that is. But yeah, so we're now pregnant. We're now, I'm at the moment 20 weeks pregnant, and I'm really excited, but sadly it hasn't been such an easy journey for us. And earlier this year I had a miscarriage. It was actually back in May, and I felt at the time that I wanted to talk about it, but it was far too painful and I couldn't. And I thought, when I feel ready, I'm going to talk about it, because I don't think that it is talked about enough, and I know that's because it's painful, but it's also a bit of a difficult subject to talk about. So I'm going to talk to you about that, and I'm going to talk to you about my experience. And like I said at the start of the video, I'm going to go into a little bit more personal detail than I would normally in any of the other vlogs. And the reason I've decided to do that is because if there are any women watching this who know somebody or who have gone through this themselves, recently or not recently, I found it, what did I find the word? I found it reassuring to read and hear about other stories of other women who've been through miscarriages, because it can be quite a lonely experience, which sounds strange, but I'll hopefully explain that a little bit more. And actually finding out about other women's experiences, and also especially if they were similar to yours, there's something very reassuring about that. So yeah, I'm going to try and stay unemotional as well. Well, not unemotional, but I'll try not to get overwhelmed with emotion as I go through this. So we were pregnant for the first time earlier this year, and in May I lost the baby. We lost the baby. I was 9 weeks pregnant at the time, and when I first found out I was pregnant, Typical me, I got really worried about the business and what would happen, and so I went on overdrive and I was working crazy hours, and I know that's not the reason why we had a miscarriage, but it sort of plays a part in the kind of how I found out about the miscarriage. And so I was rushing around like a mad thing, doing crazy long hours, trying to get lots of work in, lots of patterns designed so that there would be plenty to release. And I basically didn't stop. I didn't think, oh, I better slow down, I'm pregnant. I just thought, I'm going to carry on at the rate that I go and then some. And I was having a particularly crazy day, and I didn't notice that I had stomach cramps. Now, that might sound strange, but if you're rushing around from shop to shop, loading your car, meetings, you just sort of, I don't know, I just didn't notice the pain until I got home. And I got home that night, and not only did I notice the pain, but I noticed I was bleeding. And by the time I got home, the GPs was closed, the various people were closed that I needed to speak to, so I called the NHS direct, and they told me that it sounded like a threatened miscarriage. So I was obviously devastated, and they said, but we will book you in for a scan at your early pregnancy unit the next day for you to see what's going on. Let's do a scan and see what's going on. So we went to the EPU, as they call it, the next day, and they did a scan, and something happened that I just wasn't expecting. The baby was in me. The baby had a heartbeat, which is something that when you see a heartbeat, apparently that's a good sign because you've kind of got to that stage. So they were like, well, some women have cramps, some women bleed. It could be you're just one of those women. As long as it doesn't get any worse, you're fine. And they sent us away. And I had this massive, massive sense of relief. And for about a day, I just was so relieved and grateful. However, the symptoms didn't stop. And they didn't quite get worse, but the cramps were a little bit worse. But the fact that they didn't stop made me really nervous. And I told the staff at work, well, certainly the managers, the staff that I'm particularly close with, what was going on. I was like, guys, you know, I've been going at it too hard. I'm going to take it easy now. I'm so grateful that everything's fine. And I just carried on working, even though I had these tummy cramps. And they did get a little bit worse. So this all started on the Monday, and then by the Friday, so by the Thursday even, I was really getting quite anxious because I was like, this just doesn't feel normal. I know they've said that this could be fine, and some women go through this and they're fine in pregnancy, but to me it didn't feel right. And I called them back up and I said, look, you know, it just doesn't feel right. And they were like, look, if it's not got worse, we're not going to see you again, but we'll see you, you know, again in a week, so a week from the last scan. So they booked me in for another scan the following week. And the next morning I woke up and I passed something when I went to the loo in the morning, and I knew that it wasn't normal, and I knew that it wasn't right. And so we decided, I didn't want to call it typical British. I was like, oh, I don't want to put them out. They've already said that, you know, they won't see us. So I didn't go back there. Instead, my friend told me about a private place in town. So we went to this special clinic, a private clinic, and paid for a scan because I just needed to know what was going on. And the baby had gone. So I guess that's what that was in the morning. And that was a massive shock. Although I'd felt that this was not right, it's still a really big shock. And because we were in town, we didn't really know what to do. We were sort of both in shock. So we wandered into Regent's Park. And Regent's Park is my favourite park in London. I have now ruined that park because now when I go there, and I haven't been there since, I'm sure it's going to remind me of that day. But it was a beautiful sunny day and the flowers were out because it was spring, and we just sat in the park quietly together to try and get our head around things. And we rang up the hospital local to us and told them, and they said, gosh, you know, come in for a scan. Of course you must come in for a scan, and you should have come to us anyway. And so we went to see them later on in the day, and they were lovely and they explained everything. And I had what they call a natural miscarriage, where the baby basically and your body gets rid of it naturally. There are miscarriages where you don't know that the baby's died and you have to have it removed, which must be very upsetting. I didn't have to do that. So then obviously a grieving process started, and also I had all the hormones inside me from being pregnant, and so the next few weeks were incredibly hard, and I obviously took a week off work, but it was in fact me made May, and we had already announced that I was going to take photos of what I was wearing every day and post them on the Sew Over It Instagram account. So I really didn't want anyone to know what was going on. So every day I would get up and I'd put my makeup on and I would put a homemade outfit on and I would take a photo, and then I'd take it all off and put my pyjamas back on. And that process made me realise that, you know, you look at Instagram and all these people with their perfect lives, or what you think are perfect lives, and how happy they seem, and you have no idea what's going on. And when I look back at Sew Over It in the May this year, and I just think, wow, Lisa, no one would know what was happening to you right then. I even recorded a vlog. I didn't record it till a week later, but I had to record my weekly vlog. And the reason why I had to do it is because it was to review the Sewing Bee book, and I had to record the film because they had a date that I said that I would record it. So I again put my makeup on, put my outfit on. I'd already made the trousers that I was reviewing, so I didn't need to do that, and I reviewed it. And again, if you look back at that video, you would have no idea what I was going through. The wonder that is makeup. Obviously I was feeling a lot stronger, not a lot stronger, but stronger, that I wasn't emotional, that I was able to kind of get into the zone for that time that I filmed it. And incidentally, it's one of the most viewed films that I've ever done, which is just ridiculously ironic. And after that initial stage, there were lots of positives to be brought out from it. There was the overwhelming support that we received from our friends and from our family, and obviously from Matt as well, although he was, you know, going through it as much as I was, in a different way. But also from the Sew Over It team. They were incredible. They were like, do not worry about anything, we've got it, just, you know, look after yourself. They were amazing. And one thing that my approach to it, as I approach a lot of things, when things go wrong, you have the initial shock and the initial process of feeling upset or whatever it is that's gone wrong and what emotion that brings to the surface. And then I go, right, I need to have something focused positive to focus on, so I'm going to do something positive. And that's how I decided to deal with this. So I decided that I needed to get more of a work-life balance, and that's something that I had been meaning to do for a while, but I needed to look after myself better. Certainly I wanted to get pregnant again, and I wanted to be healthy, so I just thought this is a time for me to do this. So I signed up to a mindfulness course, and that was amazing, and I still do meditation now. And then I also signed up for reflexology, which was lovely, and really helped me as well. Not only is it a lovely experience, but also for me it helped balance everything out, and I think made my body better in a way, healed me. I also did Positive June, if you remember, on Instagram. I decided I needed to force myself to think positively, and think of all the great things that I had going on in my life, and that's what Positive June was about. Again, you can go back and see that on my Instagram account. And I also decided I needed a project that wasn't work, that was that was an enjoyable project, that wasn't going to be stressful, that wasn't going to be time pressured, that I would look forward to doing. And that was my roof terrace. And you may have heard me talk about that in my videos over the summer, but that was an amazing thing to do, because there's something very cathartic about growing things, you know. So I decided to design it, I bought all these lovely plants, and every day after work I'd come back and I'd look at the plants and how they grew. And so over it, the girls were so sweet, and they bought me a rose bush for my roof terrace. And every day I'd come out and look at that rose bush and see how it was growing, and it was a lovely thing to do. All of those things I found useful, and I'm telling all of this mainly, I mean, it's good for me, I think, to say this in public, but also for, like I said at the start, for anyone who's experienced this or maybe knows someone who has. There is such a common thing, miscarriage. I think 1 in 4 pregnancies end up in miscarriage, and given that it's so common, it's crazy how little people talk about it. And I only found out how common it was once I'd had one, and that actually was the hard way to find out. And I'm not saying that you should be worried about it if you're pregnant, because that can also be bad, but I think if it was more knowledge, if people knew about it more, then I don't know, maybe you'd feel that you could speak about it more to other people. I don't know what I felt, but when I was going through the grieving process, I looked a lot online for similar stories, because after the initial shock I did find it quite a lonely process. Matt wasn't experiencing it in the same way as me. None of my, I had one close friend actually who had a miscarriage, but my other close friends hadn't, my mum hadn't, my sister hadn't. All the people I normally lean on when things are difficult, they weren't able to relate to it. And so I'd look online, and I noticed that no one, or very few people, I couldn't really find it on YouTube, which is why I decided that one day I needed to do what I'm doing now. And I also I found forums which were useful, but yeah, there wasn't that much. And then Tilly, if any of you follow Tilly and the Buttons on Instagram, a couple of months ago she talked about her baby loss, and I thought that was incredibly brave on her Instagram account, and that was amazing and inspiring to see. And it gave me a little bit more confidence to go, yeah, you can do this, Lise, give it a bit more time. When you're ready, you can do this. So that is my journey to getting pregnant, and it's got a lovely ending because I'm now pregnant, and I'm very fortunate that has been my journey. But it's obviously left me still with lots of anxiety about this pregnancy, and the reason why I've decided to wait this long before telling you guys is because I've been so nervous about the pregnancy. But I have just today had our 20-week scan, and everything is looking absolutely normal and healthy, and the baby's a good size, and I've started feeling it move, and I'm starting to feel more confident and excited about it. And for those of you who saw me in America, that is why I felt so rough. So the first time I didn't actually have any morning sickness, which is apparently can sometimes, when you then do have morning sickness, then it can be sort of a good sign. So with the second pregnancy, I had such bad morning sickness. Literally from the moment I landed in America, I felt awful and started being sick, and that's why we ended up in hospital. And I struggled through all of those meetups. So if any of you saw me at those meetups, I was really struggling, but I was determined that I wanted to meet you and come. But yeah, I think I said food poisoning was the issue, but it wasn't. And then unfortunately it carried on for weeks after I got back, and so I was actually bedridden for a few weeks with it, and was working from home. And again, the girls were amazing and rang the company for me because I was just not well enough. I couldn't travel, I couldn't get in, I just couldn't go into the shops. So it was a difficult first trimester. But I sort of around week 13, week 14 of pregnancy, I started to feel much better and more like myself. And since then, it's been great. I've felt really good, and I've been able to sort of start planning what is going to happen to the business on a much calmer level. Fortunately, now I've had more of a team help out with that, and we have been planning our socks off for the whole of next year. I have done so many photo shoots, you guys. So I've done lots of photo shoots for Sew Over It, photo shoots for my Prima column, just lots of shoots, so that there is enough content of me not being pregnant, so it's not going to be a year of maternity clothes. We have done a whole year of patterns, and more patterns than we have last year, so there is plenty of exciting stuff come, and I want to thank the Sew Over It team for working really hard during this period to help me get all of these things ready so that we can have lots of lovely pattern releases for you guys. I will obviously be doing some maternity things, and I don't know if that will be patterns or hacks, but I still want to make clothes, and I'm not going to be fitting into the things that I normally do. And you may have noticed I haven't worn a Betty dress for a long time. I realised all of my clothes, that silhouette of wasted silhouette, is not good for me anymore, and I've not been able to wear any of those things, but so I will be kind of doing some hacks and adaptations of things so that I can wear them at the moment, but also trying to think about things, you know, there's no point in me spending hours and hours making something that I can only wear for the next 4 months. So I am embracing some things that are very pregnancy, maternity looking, but I'm also trying to think of things that I could maybe wear straight after, or, you know, even I could then alter back so that I could wear them after when I'm no longer pregnant. So it'll be an interesting journey, and of course you guys will be coming with me, and I hope that my vlogs will still be inspiring for dressmakers, and yeah, I just can't hide the bump anymore, and I think I called it a pasta belly a few weeks ago. Yeah, it wasn't a pasta belly, but it feels incredibly liberating to be able to tell you all. I've wanted to tell you all for a while, and it feels good to do it, and it also feels good because now I no longer have to hide the bump. I can just embrace it and get my head around what my wardrobe will be looking like for the next few months, and I'm planning on taking time off as well, of course. But I don't know how. I'll be taking time off over the summer, so I'm due early May, and I'll take time off throughout the summer. I'm going to be kind of try and take 4 months off, but I will still record some things, so we will still have content coming out to you guys. It's just I'm not sure how much it will be, what it will be, but we will work it out. That's something that I'm still planning and working out. And I'll obviously let you guys know. So that is it for this week. Wow, I can't believe I've done it. I've talked about it, and I've talked about the miscarriage, and it feels really good to do that as well. So yeah, sorry that this wasn't a sewing related vlog, but this vlog, it always features me, and this is a big part of me, so I couldn't not, I can't avoid that, yeah, I'm really glad that I did. So guys, I hope you all have a lovely weekend. I shall be back next week with a sewing vlog, in that I'm going to be showing you my makes, and I've obviously timed this because the makes next week will look like I will look pregnant in them, and I've just managed to get to this point just like by the skin of my teeth with hiding my bump, and you may have noticed everything's been slightly bigger and roomier. But now I'm able to fit around the bump, and I've got some good makes that I'm gonna hopefully share with you next week. Cool, that is it. Have lovely days. Bye.